I know we did EMFs last time. EMFs is showing up again. It probably won't be as bad, but we'll check it anyway. So I'll get my... Grab your phone, Hannah. And I'll also... Just for a sec. And hold, 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 hold. Yeah, not as much as last time. And I don't know if 5G's gone up in your area yet. But I think the more protection we give ourselves from this while they're, you know, working out if it's going to cause harm to humans is a good idea. So any plants you can do, salt lamps, things like Epsom salts, baths and things like that, salt baths, salt showers. You can here in Australia you can actually get like Himalayan salt soaps, which are really about cleansing our aura in the shower, taking off all the gunge from the day. Let me check if the EMFs are messing with your celestial circuit again. And hold. Okay. Off to the left. You're not an empath like your mum, are you? Take on other people's stuff?
I don't know. I think for certain people,
Yeah?
like that I care about probably.
Yeah.
But people that just complain to me, I don't care.
So you'll be fine in HR.
Hopefully.
Yeah. EMFs. And hold. Beautiful. Good. Organs affected. Liver and EMFs. Okay, so in relation, any and all EMFs. 5G. And hold. Hold up. Good. Hold up. Oh, okay. So it's the fourth liver pathway, which is to do with clotting in the bloodstream or creating fibrin in the bloodstream. So potentially the liver just doesn't have a really good program to deal with EMFs yet. Yeah, because most of the pathways in the liver were good, but the last one is to do with the liver going into, well, creating an acute phase protein called fibrin. Fibrin causes clotting. But then thinking about that, liver didn't show up when I did the 14 muscle balance before, but if EMFs are affecting the liver, it might only be when, because I did read somewhere that if you can see a cell tower out of your bedroom window, then you get a huge amount of EMFs overnight. So have a look out your window and hopefully you don't see anything. You don't see any out of your windows?
Cell towers.
Mm. I was up at a rally last Saturday night, and on the way up we drove through a northern Brisbane suburb, and it just wasn't sad, but it was electricity, you know, like a grid. Oh my
yeah.
God, just had such, it was huge. It was just like this. It was just massive. I just thought, imagine living around that.
Mm.
It's like the size of the football field. It was just amazing.
Wow.
Okay, EMFs. And hold. Beautiful. Good. I probably read this out to you before, and I don't read it out very often unless this shows up for people. But last time Epstein-Barr virus showed up for us, and I was just reading that it says that EMFs, you know, we know they're linked to MCAS, and I'll check all that soon, but they're built up over a lifetime. They check the electrical energy in the heart and the brain, so a lot of deep, you know, like people who get atrial fibrillation and that sort of thing can be linked in with EMFs. Also linked to all sorts of stuff like cancers, anxiety, depression, suicidal tendencies. But 95% of the population is also said to have Epstein-Barr virus. No big deal, except from research for over 20 years, it finds that as EMFs increase, that can reactivate Epstein-Barr virus in the body and cause people to have symptoms. So the EMFs can also get across weaken the blood-brain barrier. So all sorts of things can get across there that really shouldn't be getting across there. And of course, when our blood-brain barrier is compromised, even food particles and things can get across there, which they're not supposed to be. So at this point, let me just double check the EBV from last time as well. And hold. Okay. Hold. Yeah, none of it's as bad as last time, which is really good. So I think most of these last time were showing up in every immune pathway, whereas now it's just little scattered bits and pieces, so that's a really good sign. Yeah, okay. And now your body wants me to check histamines. Any and all histamines built up in the body. And hold. Okay. Hold. And once again, with a couple of months of pain, it's likely that your poor little body has been releasing heaps of histamine, and that's been laying itself down in your stomach, small intestine. And if you don't have the DAO, diamine oxidase, in order to release it, it just gets stuck there, creating low-level inflammation all the time, which explains the pain hormones and inflammatory cytokines at the start. So we'll check the stomach and small intestine for DAO. So once again, in the clear. And hold. Hold. And hold. Hold. Okay. Optimal levels of DAO to release histamine in the body. And hold. 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 Not too bad. Just a tiny touch on both sides. Which is both meridians. But that's blowing the base chakra. So because histamines and EMFs attract each other, that's where my brain's going now. So high levels of histamine attract EMFs and vice versa. So it makes you more of a radio transmitter out there in the world. So if you're a bit of an empath and take on other people's stuff, that sort of goes hand in hand as well. Let's just ask the body in relation to high histamine foods. So that's sort of stuff like aged cheeses, anything pickled, anything sort of like long, that has a long life as a general rule will often be high in histamines. So canned, pickled, fermented foods, aged cheeses, alcohol, smoked products such as sausage, ham, bacon, salami, legumes such as chickpeas, soybeans and lentils, vinegar, many prepared meals, yogurts. So they're the sort of things that are in the high histamine foods, and yeah, it's sort of messing around with you a bit. Not too bad, but not optimal. we'll see where the MCAS is at. And hold. Okay, so it's still in there being a bit of a pain in the butt. Hold. So so the mast cells are still really struggling, just getting everything under control. Mast cells release over 200 chemicals, and histamine is just one of them. They also release things like heparin. So for us women who have issues at that time of the month, sometimes it can actually cause excess bleeding. So that can be the heparin that the mast cells are releasing. But because histamine builds up in the brain, the gut, the uterus, and the spine, and EMFs build up in the brain, the gut, the testicles, and the spine, there's a lot of links in there with women. But obviously because of the gut, you know, having had pain for a few months, that buildup of histamine in there is not great. Okay, I don't need to check any of the receptors separately. They're not showing up individually. Okay, so I think a couple of the Fodmaps are showing up. So let's check Fodmaps in the clear. Firstly, we'll check SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So this isn't one particular type of bacteria. It's when just some of the bad guys get overloaded in the small intestine. They're really not supposed to be there. They're supposed to be down in the large intestine. So they cause a lot of bloating, irritation, gas, and that causes us to bloat, which pushes on the nerves. So sometimes it's the pain is being caused because of the bloating, which is because of the fermentation that's happening in there because of either the bugs or the foods that are feeding the bacteria. So the Fodmaps, if that shows up, there's 5 main Fodmaps, but they're fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, and polyols. So basically they're simple sugars in foods that are known to feed the small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Sometimes they feed candida and fungus at the same time. Okay, let's check Fodmaps overall. Hold. Well, it's not everything Fodmap, that's a good sign. So then there's individual Fodmaps. Okay, so the priority to start with is fructose. So that's fruit sugars, but it's also stuff like just normal sugar is about 50% sucrose and 50% fructose. And the fructose component is only metabolized through the liver. So when our diet has too much fructose, then our liver can get really upset. And there was one study that showed that fruit juices, because a lot of people drink fruit juices thinking that it's a really healthy thing to do, but fruit juice actually oxidizes the cells up to 7 times faster because of all the sucrose, or the glucose in it, sorry. So when we're doing juices, we really need to be thinking predominantly green and a small amount of fruit, you know, pineapple or apple or something like that, just to give it enough sweetness. But when we're talking healthy juices, vegetable juices are the way to go. Fructans is also showing up. Fructans is another FODMAP. This one sort of got some weird things in it. So it's got some, obvious, but it's got some things in it like garlic and onion, as well as stuff like, it's a lot of grains in the Fructans FODMAP. So, so there's garlic, onion, there's things like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, but then there's rye and wheat. So maybe we need to do a bit of a FODMAP cleanse for you. But because all the FODMAPs didn't muscle test up means it's not all 5 groups, so it'll be more specific for you. Yeah, it's just those 2. Okay. And I'm sure you know this, but the painkillers aren't helping. Which I'm sure you know. But the problem is that the painkiller residue can mess with things, and it can also stop the healing going on. So this is the immune system. Not too bad. It's like 2 of the inflammation pathways plus an energy mismatch. So your body doesn't know what to do with the painkillers when they get in there. How to get rid of the residue. So I'll send you a list of those fructans and fructose foods to avoid. Probably for a good 3 weeks if you can go off them like 90%, more if you can, but you know, sort of think of them just being out of your life for 3 weeks. Yeah, right. I was just reading about the constipation recently, so I'll check the digestive valves. Yeah, none of the digestive valves are real happy actually, so we'll just reset all of them. So breathe in and out. 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 Good. So I might just grab my books and check supplements and sort of see what sort of things would be good for you. Yeah, okay. So there's a couple of digestive enzymes showing up. So it's sort of almost like your body doesn't care which digestive enzymes, because there's sort of like a combination with fairly high doses of uh, peptase and lipase and cellulase. So basically helping to break down your fats, your proteins, your starches as well. So just a good all-rounder. And the best way to do them is at the end of meals. So whatever you eat, initially just have one at the end of every meal. And if you're still feeling any reflux or heartburn, like half an hour afterwards, take a second one, because it means that the food's just sitting in there and it's fermenting. Probiotics aren't really showing up at the moment, so I just suspect with that level of pain and inflammation that there's no home for them to live in. I might be wrong there, but they're just not showing up at the moment. Or you've been taking them and it's just fine and it's just not needed. There could be that too. Yeah, okay. But then pretty much there's 3 or 4 supplements I've got that have all got glutamine in. So glutamine is showing up. So my products are things like Ultra Probioplex and Detox, glutamine, Glutagenics, Rejuvenex. They're all things that have glutamine in. So find a good, if you can, find a good powdered glutamine supplement that has some other bits and bobs in it as well. Yeah, right. Aloe juice. One of the things about aloe juice is, and once again, depends on the brand and the way they've created the aloe juice, but anywhere with the ones that I get in, it's anywhere between, say, 20 and 60 mils twice daily. But what aloe does, it creates a really nice lining on the gut wall so that things like fungus and candida can't attach. Now, if we're going to be breaking down the food properly, the idea is that we need to break down, there might be some mucus building up in the gut lining when there's been inflammation for a few months. Your body's going to be trying to protect itself. So digestive enzymes at the end of every meal means that those food particles won't be attacking the gut lining, and it'll be taking the pressure off the immune system. And then something like a good powdered glutamine, or tablets if you can get them, but you'll need a lot more. So if you can just find out what you can get, and I can send you, once again, I'm not sure what you can get where you are, but there are really good glutamine products with gut healing formulas in them. And then, so the body doesn't want to kill anything off at the moment, but it does want to be off the fructans and fructose. So it wants to take the pressure off the gut by removing the things that are feeding the SIBO. But your body doesn't actually want to do any kill at the moment. So not killing any candida, or so it's more dietary and then healing the gut lining that your body wants first up. Yeah, if you can get a liquid aloe. And sometimes, like in my powder that I use, Glutagenics, it's actually got glutamine and aloe vera in a powdered form, as well as some zinc carnitine, which is one that helps to heal gut linings with ulcerations and that sort of thing. Yeah, so your body's being really specific what it's after, which is sort of neat. And one of the things long term that I think I've mentioned before is that when we're sensitive little things with EMFs and stuff, it's not a bad idea to just constantly throughout life always thinking heavy metal detoxification, because the more heavy metal buildup we have in our body, the more that attracts EMFs and it makes us more and more sensitive to them. So the more fuzzy headed and you know, more likely we are to go into something like chronic fatigue with EMFs if we're not releasing our heavy metals on a regular basis. just recheck those valves again. No, they're good. Double check your adrenals. Hold, 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 hold. Beautiful. Hold, 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 hold. Okay, so go see what you can find supplement-wise, and I'm sure we'll talk soon. Thanks, Rachel. Bye. This is a new program for this body now and in the future. The old program for this body is no longer necessary now in the future. Thanks, Hannah.
No problem.
Yeah.